Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa salatu wa salam ala rasulihil kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Dear viewers, welcome again to our new episode of Youth Matters. Yes, we are talking in detail different topics related to youth and talking about the importance of how youth can actually play their role in the ummah, inshallah. And today's discussion is very, very crucial, and that is conflict resolution, problem solving. We know for a fact that we are not, problem-free people. And to discuss this, inshallah, we have again our beloved brothers, Brother Idris, Ahmed, Musa, and Ali. So before we get into the discussion, let us have a look at the clip, inshallah.
Something that's bothering you and it's eating away at you, and if you think if that problem went away, you would have peace. Every one of us has some problem that keeps us up at night. We're thinking about it and we're saying, man, if that went away, I'd be all right. Guess what? When that one goes away, there's going to be another one. And when that one goes away, there's going to be another one. And when the other one comes, you're like, the last one was easier. Where did this come from? This is way a bigger problem. What does Allah give you when you can trust Him? He doesn't end your problems. This life, problems will not go away. If problems were going to go away, they would have gone away for Yaqub alayhi salam a lot sooner than for you and me. If no problems would have come because we have Iman, then Maryam salamun alayha should not have had problems. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam should not have had problems. You study the people that are closest to Allah, and all you're studying are problems. Really big ones, their entire life. That's all you're studying. You're just learning about one problem to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. That's all you're learning. Yusuf alayhi salam, a great profound messenger of Allah, and from childhood there are problems. From childhood there are problems. So I keep asking that question. What is it that Allah is giving you? What do you get when you completely put your trust in Allah in the middle, in the thick of a difficulty, when everybody else is telling you Allah is, on the one hand people are telling you Allah is angry at you, that's why this is happening. Allah hates you, that's why this is happening. On the other hand, you start thinking Allah is punishing me, that's why this is happening. At that moment when you can have the best impression of Allah and maintain your love and reliance and bond with Allah, that Allah has not let you go. He hasn't. What does He give you? Yahdi qalbahu. He guides this person's heart. He gives their heart guidance. I can guarantee you, when your problem goes away, if it's a money problem, if money comes in. If it's a health problem, and health comes back. If it's a family problem, the family problem goes away. None of the good things in this life are worth anything compared to that one gift. That one gift is Yahdi qalbahu. He'll guide his heart. Your heart will be at peace.
My brothers and sisters, as we understood that problems, we can't just get away from it. Conflicts are bound to encounter in our lives. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us the recipe, the solution to deal with these problems, not to go out of these problems, right? So that is what inshallah we shall surround our discussion on conflict resolution, or we say problem solving, or we say the issues and how we can actually deal with them, especially the disputes within the families, outside the families, in relations, outside relations. So this is the topic that inshallah we shall focus on.
So Shaykh, what exactly is conflict resolution and why is it important?
Right, now the term conflict, it means there is a dispute, there is a difference, there is a disagreement between two parties, and resolution is a solution for that conflict. So it comes like a resolving element for that conflict. And we know that even the twin brothers, they think differently. So there will be differences in terms of thinking, in terms of living, in terms of acting upon. So that is what is conflict resolution. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this life as a test for us, as we discussed it in the past, that الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. So this life is full of tests. Allah created this life and death, and tests are there for sure. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. So we are going to be interacting or encountering problems from the fear, from the hunger, from our own selves, inner self. Sometimes it becomes challenging. You conflict within yourself. You encounter certain things which you think that you have no clue of how to get out of it. So these all things are bound to be there. The key is وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, that you be patient, right? So this is how we actually determine conflict resolution.
How do we deal with it in a prophetic way? Like, how are we taught to actually deal with all types of conflict, especially those who come from people who are close to us? Because it's different dealing with somebody. I'm on the street and I have an argument with a taxi driver. I don't know this guy, so once it's over and okay. But when you have a conflict with someone like your wife or your mother or someone who's close to you, it has more of a profound effect on you. So how do we deal with this type of thing?
Definitely. As we said that, especially the close family members, because we live with them, they understand us, we understand them, and in this journey of life, we encounter, certain points where we actually see a conflict. First and foremost, the fundamental thing that we understand from the Prophet ﷺ is that he always valued the person over the problem. He valued the person over the problem. A lot of times what happens, we brag on the problem and we think that the person or the value of the person is nothing in our sight, because in that conflict zone we do not value the person. So the Prophet ﷺ, he used to value the person, and he used to deal with the problem but not hitting the person itself. So in our lives, when we encounter the problem or the conflict or the disputes within the wives, the first thing that we need to understand is, she is valuable to me. He is valuable to me. My father, if I have a conflict with you, you're more valuable than the problem. The problem, we know it's temporary. It's for time being. But my relation, it's far, it's long, alhamdulillah. So I basically deal with the problem by valuing the person. The problem becomes trivial when you value the person. You know that your wife stood by with you for 20 years, for example, and you have a problem. Well, this problem is just a bit when I actually value my wife who stood with me for all these years. So regardless of the intensity of the problem, we need to value the person. That's number one. Number two, we need to ensure that we understand the problem, why the problem is coming. Go to the deep sources of why this problem is coming. A lot of times the solution lies in identifying the problem. Problem is very trivial. Like, for example, if the wife doesn't cook well, it happens with the husband and wife. If she doesn't cook well, they come from a cross culture, right? Like, for example, Ali has an Egyptian wife, and the taste is different, and the way of cooking is different. The entire aspect of the food becomes the reason of dispute. So we need to understand first and identify that problem, why that problem is coming. Then when you understand the problem, it becomes a lot more easier for you to deal with it. A lot of times we just go on a surface level. We don't get down to the roots where actually permanent solution lies. So identifying the problem is the second way of dealing with the problem. The third way, which is very, very powerful way, is you basically remove the problem with the good. As we discussed in the past, that when we actually get into a problem, into a conflict, we try to remove that with something that is better, something that is good. Perhaps the gap of communication was too long, so we try to build and improve the communication. Perhaps it is because of any other reason, so we try to bring that goodness and push that to that person, so the conflict, it doesn't sustain long. But having said all this, we need to understand that our own children, our own wives, our own parents, our own relations, all these are a part of test. And for sure, like you are in a boxing ring, right? So you don't expect that the opponent will not hit you. You are there to be hit by the opponent. So it's a game that you are in, and you are bound to basically face those challenges. They come with you as a test. When you program yourself that they're a part of test, then you relax and you slowly but surely deal with those when it comes to personal relations, inshallah.
Ready for a curveball, Sheikh?
Yes.
So we got the example of a taxi driver, that you're not going to see him again, and it's done with. And then you have the close relatives who you're going to deal with for a relatively longer period of time, right? Because everything's going to come to an end one day. But what about coworkers? How do you deal with coworkers?
That's a beautiful and very relevant question, because the bulk of the people, they actually work, and when they work, they interact. When they interact with different minds, different background, different ethics, different values, different cultures and all. Inshallah, we shall deal with it after a short break. Dear brothers and sisters, don't go away. We'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back, dear viewers. We are talking about conflict resolution, and this is something which is needed in everybody's life. And we talked about how to deal with the conflicts within the families, and Ahmed brought a point which is very, very important and pertinent in our current day and age, which is how to deal conflicts with the co-workers, right? Now, the strategy that we actually should build in our lifestyle is we go on a collaborative approach. When you have the sense of collaboration, the co-workers, they don't feel insecure. So when they don't feel insecure, they actually don't get into conflicts most of the times. So you go on a collaborative effort, number one. Number two, you give importance to cooperation rather than on competition. We know for sure that competition is not wrong in per se, but then generally speaking, competition goes in a negative spirit, and it leads to problems which are later on we need to solve those problems. So ideally speaking, you give preference to cooperation rather than competition. When they know that in an organization, the co-workers are like team members, in a football match, you have different team members. Unless you have that teamwork as co-workers, as colleagues, you cannot grow that organization to the next level. So you give a bigger picture. The bigger picture is that we all want to grow. When we all want to grow, we need to collaborate, we need to cooperate, and that's how the conflict resolution can be solved when it comes to the co-workers, inshallah.
What about reasons? I mean, I always tell my students that when you find out the reason for a problem, you'll be able to solve it. Deal with it. Exactly. So what can be identified as reasons for conflict so that we can try to avoid it?
Absolutely. As we said that, identifying the problem gives you half solution kind of thing. For a doctor to diagnose is a major portion of the treatment. So unless he diagnoses the problem, he will never be able to actually start the treatment. So here we go. Basically what happens is when we actually dig the problems, one of the major problem or the reason of that problem conflict that we see is the misunderstanding. This is the key problem or the reason of the problem that we see in our life. People, they are quick in judging things, and as a result, what happens? Conflicts arise. We see problems come into picture. Why? Because they misunderstand. The reason why they misunderstand could be many or could be any, but then misunderstandings becomes the reason of conflicts, be it in the family, in the spousal relationships. You know, we all see sometimes the core reason of the conflict between the husband and wife is what? Misunderstanding. And this comes because of the miscommunication. You know, when we don't have proper, clear, open communication, there you actually give scope for the misunderstanding. When you have misunderstanding, that leads to conflict. You know, the ideal way to deal with the reason of this is have clear and complete and effective communication, especially with the spouse. Especially with the spouse. Because we know, you know, this is the very sensitive relationship that basically is very prone to misunderstanding. Shaitan wants to put this misunderstanding, especially in the spousal relationships, because two families will be separated. The ultimate loss that we actually gain out of this is the separation of the two families, you know, which means two generations are being separated actually. So the idea is we need to deal with that reason of misunderstanding. That's number one. Number two is emotions. You know, we are emotion driven people. You know, we love someone so much so that, you know, we tend to sometimes get possessive about something or someone, and as a result conflict arises. You know, we love someone. That's the reason Islam does not allow us to do anything in extremes, be it love as well, because extreme love and emotions will make you possessive, and that becomes a weakness, and that becomes a key reason of conflicts also. The third reason that we could see generally in our lives is you know, the money. You know, we know, I've been dealing with a lot of people who actually did the dispute because of the property. Two brothers, you know, just two brothers for example, they get separated and have this kind of conflict, dispute, problems, is because of that money.
It's usually over, you know, when inheritance, basically.
Absolutely,
yes, when
absolutely. Even in the lives of the parents, when they see that, you know, one brother is getting a bigger share because of some unfair judgment of the parents or whatsoever, we see that money becomes the reason. That's the reason. We go back to the same point. You value your brother over your money. Money will come and go, but then your brother, he will remain with you. So this is again another, you know, big and major problem. The other problem that we actually, the reason why we see is conflicts arise is because of the lack of close relationships. Lack of close relationships by means that we do not actually understand what the relationship has an important role to play in our lives. As a result, what happens? We just conflict very easily. Children, they don't really value, or they don't really have that sense of significance of parents, and they just, you know, want to yell at them. They want to, you know, put anything as a choice of words, or, you know, for the parents. Lack of understanding the importance of relations as well become the reason why conflicts arise. So when we know the reasons, it becomes easier. You know, every reason comes out as a solution. Okay, so this is the reason. This is not what I need to do. You know, that's how we basically help each other.
Yeah, at this juncture, I think it's like now we all talking about how to rid ourselves, or how to get rid of conflicts, to live a conflict-free life. And in this, I consider that, like you just said, it's like impossible. That as long as we live, as long as we exist, conflict exists. I mean, it's there. It's only to know how to handle it. However, one would ask, what is the meaning of, or why do people, you know, strive for what they call conflict-loss life? I mean, a life without conflict. You see a young man, you know, driving his luxurious car, saying that I'm enjoying life. I'm the only person living, as if he is having no problem, as if he's living in heaven or something. Is this realistic? Is this true? There is a life without conflict, or there is, you know, conflict-free life?
For sure, as we said, definitely the life is full of conflicts. When we say conflict, the terms get changing, you know, but conflicts, you know, the problems tests, they are all a part of life. So we need to understand the fact that we as youth, as in particular, we have problems in our way, and we have the power to deal with those problems in the light of the Quran and the guidance of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As insan, we need to know that we are not here forever. People who live, luxurious life, people who live, out of this mind and out of this world kind of thing, these are all assumptions and illusions and deception, actually speaking. They actually build on themselves, thinking that, they are going to be here forever. The idea of Muslim mindset is that we do not belong to this world forever. A person, when he knows and sees that I'm not here forever, then obviously he treats that problems as temporary problems. Direct effect of belief in the akhirah helps you to know that, be it health problem, it's going to get away. Be it financial problem, it's going to go away. Be it relationship problem, it's going to go away. Why? Because as you said, we don't exist here forever. As long as we exist, the problems will actually exist.
So my question is, how do we deal with conflicts that arise from differences of opinions? In Islam we have different madhahib, for example. How do we deal with conflicts that arise that come out of differences of opinion?
Right. Now, the number one thing that we need to actually understand is respect every differences. Respect the difference of opinion. When you feel that you are right, the other person feels the same. So when you put yourself in other shoe, you realize that, perhaps that is also a point of view. So perhaps you don't agree with it, but you respectfully disagree. So the element of respect is the key when it comes to difference of opinion. We see, subhanallah, our own people, scholars, du'at and general masses, everybody has their own opinion. When it comes to Islam, every opinion is respected as long as it does not contradict with the Quran and the Sunnah. When it comes to Islam, however, in general lives, we know that we respect the difference of opinion that, for example, a Christian hold. He thinks that he is right. So we respect that difference of opinion, but we don't agree. We don't subscribe to their notion, to their belief. We need to understand that when you respect something, that does not mean that you agree with it. Right? That's the reason we say respect in terms of handling or dealing with the difference of opinion is important. Because if we conclude in our minds that, I'm not going to respect any difference of opinion, you can't survive properly. It's just impossible to presume that everybody will think like the way I think. It is unnatural, it's impractical in all senses. So the fundamental thing is respect. Number two, have the element of sabr and shukr when it comes to conflicts in general. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, gave us this beautiful teaching. The hadith, as it goes, strange is the attitude or the behavior or the lifestyle of a Muslim. When he gets problems, he is patient. And when he gets ni'mah, when he gets blessings, he is what? He is thankful, he is grateful. When you deal with the difference of the people, be patient. It helps you to understand and to evaluate them, actually speaking. When you are patient, it gives you the strength of resolving the conflicts. When you are patient, you actually deal with the problem in a sensible way. It gives you the room and the scope and the strength to deal with it in a very responsible way. So the patience is the key. Two, being grateful. If a very much against opinion comes onto you, you basically thank the person. You thank the person that you hold that opinion, but I don't disrespect you. I respect you, but I don't subscribe for you. you will see a lot of times you will gain respect and you will gain love, because you're hitting the problem, not the person again. As we say, conflict resolution is all about valuing people. My brothers and sisters, again, I must say, it's been a lovely discussion, and time is up. And my brothers and sisters, especially the youth, this topic of conflict resolution, I'm sure it has a very insightful and positive effect on you. It obviously gave you certain guidelines that comes from the Quran and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because we know for a surety, and we believe in it, that every kind of solution for every problem lies in the Quran and the teachings of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let us live a life of love, cooperation, compassion, kindness, mercy, forgiveness, and the most important thing is love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will always feel and face things which is conflict resolution, inshallah. We have a lot to talk in the future episodes as well, but until then, inshallah, we take a leave from you. Thank you so much, brothers. Thank you, viewers. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.